you're single, you walk around, you meet lots of people. And people were so nice to me. In fact, I had other experiences when I was traveling by motorcycle in this country, where traveling by myself, and I would just meet people that I've never met other times in my life with such a facility. And they would invite me back to their place or in for a meal or whatever. Back when I was young, I would hitchhike and stuff. And all this, getting kindness from strangers type of stuff that I've never felt like I've paid back. But in France, this was kind of the ultimate, because I'd hitchhiked with a guy in getting off the ferry in Ireland and spent a couple days with him. And he said, well, if you come out to Brittany in northwestern France, give me a call. You can stay with me and my family for a few days. So anyway, when I did get to France, I was headed out in that direction. And I was in a small seaside resort town called Dinard, which is across the bay from Saint-Malo, which I think is a little more famous.
And you were just
I think Dinard is actually a pricier area than Saint-Malo, right across the bay. And I was in a bar one afternoon, and I was talking to this British guy, having a coffee or wine. We were talking, and I told him that eventually, in a few weeks, I wanted to go to Paris. And he said, really? Well, what are you going to do when you're there? I said, I don't really know. Where are you going to stay out here? And he said, well, why don't you come back here this evening? Because my French girlfriend and I'll will be here, and maybe she can help you out with some connections in Paris. So I proceeded out to Morlaix, spent a week with that guy's family that I'd met in Ireland, and then eventually I got to Paris. So I got to Paris, and I forget whether I checked into a hostel. I don't think so. I think I just got to place somewhere there was a phone. And I forgot to tell you, this French woman never met me before in her life. Her boyfriend just said, I met this guy this afternoon. Here he is. We talked for a while. And she gave me the phone number of her, I think it might have been her sister, older sister. I can't remember exactly the relationship, but I think so. Who lived in Paris with her boyfriend. And said, when you get here, call her. And, maybe they can put you up for a week, for a day, or something. Okay, great. So when I got to Paris, I did call him up. It was a Friday evening, and I think I was at a hostel maybe where there was a phone, but I hadn't actually booked myself in for the night. And I called him up and said, hi, I'm Frank. I met so-and-so in Dinard. And she said, maybe you could help me out if I needed a place to stay for a night. They said, well, sure, you could come out right down and you could stay. However, tomorrow we're going out to our country home. So it would just be a one-night thing and stuff. Alternatively, if you want to wait till Monday, call us back and maybe you can stay longer. So, I know how to milk stuff. So I waited, I stayed in this youth hostel downtown Paris for the weekend, and then Monday I called them and they told me, come on out, stuff like that. I spent, count them, 3, not days, weeks with them. And lest I forget, then I went off for a couple more months and stuff, and when I came back, I'd been in Morocco, and I came back through Spain. When I got back to Paris, I called them up again, and I spent almost another week with them, I think, 5 to 7 days with them. So just, and I spent a week with the people of Morlaix. So, people talk about the French not being friendly.
Right.
And that's 4 weeks I crashed at French people's homes when I was out there.
But you're just more lovable than most Americans.
No.
In the 70s, they hated Americans. I was there in 78.
Something more plausible than that.
No, 79. Oh, God, they hated Americans.
It was like 76 or 7.
Oh.
So it was,
it was in the heart of...
So you beat that one.
Well, they probably hated Americans more during George W.'s reign than back then.
Oh, it was pretty bad.
So anyway, getting to the Stone story. As I mentioned, the first weekend they said it wasn't convenient for me to come out because they were going out to their home in the country. Well, a couple of weeks later, they were also going out to their place in the country. And I was invited to come along. So I go out there, and this was I really wanted to think that I spent all this time on this. It was 2 unmarried couples. They each had a child. They were living in this small apartment. It was like a 2-bedroom apartment or something like that.
With
and this
6 people.
And this lazy, bleaching American drops in and spends 3 weeks.
In the living room.
Yeah, I was sleeping on the couch or something. Yeah, and I think the guys just were amused to have a visitor and stuff. And I think the wives, well, they weren't married yet. The spouse equivalents were just tolerating the weaknesses of their boyfriends. And this American, they were okay. You're here. We're being reasonably tolerant of you, but we're not going to pretend we're really enjoying you there. And I was like, yeah, bring it on. It's okay. I'm benefiting from it. I'm selfish enough that it didn't bother me that they didn't appear to be too happy about it. The guys did. So we went out to the country, and there, these two guys had, the two couples, I don't know how they did financially, they bought 3 old farmhouses, old farmsteads, and their intention was to restore them all and keep 2 of them, one for each family, as permanent, like retirement homes and stuff. And one of us is living there in one of those homes now, I think today, because I Googled them. And then the third one was going to be investment, and then eventually they would sell that. And these were young professionals. One guy was an architect, and the other guy was an economics professor.
Oh.
And and they're like late 20s, and they're sort of young professionals, but they don't have they don't have a lot of money, but they're not dummies by any stretch of the imagination. And their hobby, what they both really like to do is woodworking. Not fine cabinetry, but more the type of stuff that you would do for restoring your farmsteads. Sure. So, like in this place where they've done it, I'm not sure what they've done in their own thing. I do know that there was a large farmer-studded table, kind of a crude, open thing, very large. By crude, I don't mean, poorly done. I mean not, done by a cabinet maker kind of stuff with exotic finish, just rustic kind of finish and kind of stuff, things like that. And they had a friend who was I don't know how close he was exactly, but he was somewhat of a friend who was an advertising executive. And he also was restoring the country property. And so they were doing work for him. And the weekend we went out there, they were finishing up a project they were doing for him. They built they have walls of pave stones, kind of squarish, traditional. I don't know if they might be limestone, which are building stones that the homes were made out of and the walls were made out of. Okay. And they'd have big wooden gates that entered the farmyard. And so they built them brand new gates because they were all felt to be replaced. And they built new window shutters for him. I think they might have built him a table like their own or something like that. But so they had these wooden things that they built for the guy that were essential to kind of giving it the appearance of the traditional farmyard. So they finished up all this stuff over the weekend, and like Sunday, I think, or maybe Saturday. Maybe all they had to do when I was out there was not the woodworking, it was the finishing, putting varnish on the wall. And so they finished the stuff up, and they'd rented a van to deliver the stuff. And so I think the advertising exec had come over to their place, and we all had. I'm not sure if I'm getting the sequence right or not. I think we all had a big dinner and stuff, and then we were driving over to his place to drop off all the things that they'd made. But anyways, one of the evening, it was like 10 o'clock. The guy says, we're sitting around the table again, drinking wine, and he says, since you've got this rental truck out here and stuff, I wonder, can I ask you for a favor? It's real, as you guys know, when we're restoring a property like this, those traditional building stones are hard to find. They're just, they're in demand because lots of people are embarked on projects like that. And he said, there's this place I know just a few miles from here where there's just a pile of them off the side of the road. You've got this truck here just for this weekend and stuff. How about if we go over there and pick up, do you mind if we go out there and pick up some stones and stuff? And they said, well, yeah, no problem at all. So we all piled into the van and drove, it was less than 10 miles away. And we got to this place where there was dozens of these stones off the side of the road. Just a small rural highway. And so we pulled the van off the road, got out there, and each would grab a stone, carry it to the back of the van, and start loading the truck. And every once in a while, they checked to make sure that we weren't bottoming out on the springs and stuff. And it looked like we put in enough, which wasn't terribly many. There were a lot more left there.
They're heavy.
You can't destroy the truck. So we figured we'd gotten all that we can, and it might have been very good. few dozen at least stones, maybe. I don't recall, but maybe more than a few dozen, less than 100 probably, 80 stones possibly. We closed up the van, got back in, and we're driving back to deliver them because we'd only driven about a mile or two. Look in the rearview mirror, and there's a flashing lights of a police car. So we thought, I wonder what that's about. And they pulled over, and the cop pulled over beneath them, and they thought, what can this be? And they're like, they don't know what's going on here, but I had my own suspicion. I was sitting there, as we were driving away, I wondered if it's okay that we're taking this. But I didn't say anything about him, and I could. And one of the reasons, at least, that it helped me getting along with French stuff, is I spoke French poorly, but I could speak French. And so I could communicate with anybody who's willing to be tolerant of my limitations and speak more slowly and with a more simple vocabulary and stuff. I could not read Le Monde, the New York Times, but I could talk to somebody who really wanted to communicate like that. So we're sitting in this truck and we're driving, and it's right before the police car and stuff. I'm sitting there thinking kind of like, I wonder if this is really okay. But it can't be that big a deal. And then the police car, and all of a sudden these guys are real worried and said, "Listen, Frank, do this. When we're talking to the cops, pretend you don't know any French at all. So we can protect you then. We'll just say, this is an American, he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't speak any French at all. So don't blame him for anything you're upset about." So the cops, cop came over and pulled him over and said, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Why'd you pull us over?" He says, "Well, it's late at night, and we saw a heavily laden truck, which is unusual here, so what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we found these stones off the side of the road, and they looked abandoned, so we were picking them up for a restoration project." The cop said, "Well, I don't know, who the owner is?" He says, "No, how would you find the owner? We're willing to buy them from somebody if we know who they were." This guy, that wasn't the issue. The issue was finding the damn things. But, the cop said, "Well, I'm sorry, I just can't let you take them, because those things, they have some value these days and stuff, so you got to take them back." So we thought, oh, okay. So we turned the truck around, and the cop followed us back to the place. We were starting to unload the stones, and the cop says, "And I want each of you to count how many stones you take up, so we'll have a tally at the end of how many stones there were." And these guys are like, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." And I'm this smart-ass American. I came out of, this is just, it's in the mid-'70s now, but it's kind of 60s mentality. Sure. Like, fuck the pigs. And they're telling us, not only are we going to return the stones, but we got to count them. And I'm thinking, this is a bunch of ridiculous noise.
Really? What's he doing?
But these guys were, took them all seriously. They're like, I unloaded 18 stones and 16 stones, and I don't know what number I picked. I just made up a number. I didn't count them. That's silly. And so, but so they wrote it down, all the stones. And then we thought, okay, now we'll be released. We return the stones, and then we got to get them back. It's now, it's after 11 or something, getting midnight. And the women are probably wondering, where are these guys? It shouldn't have taken that long. Maybe just short errand there. And the guy says, "Okay, well now you guys have got to follow me back to the station." So, okay, so we had to get in truck, and we had to follow the police car back to the rural precinct station. And then they had to bring it back there because they wanted us to put together signed statements on our crime, describing what we'd done. And so there it was like, they said, "Well, our friend here doesn't speak English and stuff." So Olivier, whom I never knew spoke English at all, hardly, he worked with the cop. Everybody else, they had to, they pulled the typewriter off the shelf. They made a phone call to another policeman, got him out of bed at midnight for him to come in. He just got out of bed, was groggy, and threw on like a tracksuit type of, casual wear, and came to the station, got another typewriter down, because they had these 4 statements that had to be typed up. And they're pecking away at getting our statements done. And Olivier worked with a policeman to put together a statement for the American, which was written in French. And then Olivier translated it to me so I'd know what it was, because I had to sign my statement too. And then we thought, then it's after midnight. now we'll finally we'll have to get released and we'll go back. No. Now they have to hold us in cells overnight because we're under arrest. So they take, and I remember before they were taking us out there, I'm sitting down there, and I think that what they'd done is, because this was a very small rural precinct, they couldn't handle 4 prisoners at one time. So they took Jean-Luc and Olivier, who were the 2 guys that were staying with the parish, and put them in one police car, and were trucking him over to some other precinct to be jailed for the night. And the advertising exec and I were going to be jailed out back. And the advertising exec is sitting there with this totally disconsolate look on his face, just shaking his head, and just, he looks at his frock, we see dos désolé. He's so upset that he dragged me into this mess and caused all this problem. And I'm there kind of like, please. I'm trying to not break decorum. I'm trying to not split a gut, because I'm thinking this is one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me in my entire life. This will be a story that's impossible for me to make up or to be. This is so hilarious, and I just thought this can't possibly amount to anything serious. I'm here with an advertising executive. I'm, an economics professor and an architect. I'm the bum here. That could have been, thrown away, locked up without a key, and nobody would have ever known, what had happened to me or something. But these guys are young professionals and stuff. This is not, this is the Western civilized world. They're not going to be thrown in prison for thinking they could just take these stones off the, building stones, albeit they were from the side of the road. So anyway, I tried to not laugh out loud. They led us back to this little kind of, stone or stucco kind of, maybe mud, stones covered with mud or whatever you call it. Behind the station, this tiny little building with two little doors, and inside just enough room. There was the width of a cot. So it wasn't a cot, it was a stone, it was a concrete bench with a couple of really coarse, like horse blankets on them. And that was where we spent the night, and they gave us each a bucket to pee in. There was no, drinking water or anything else. And then shut the door, clank, and that's it for the night. It was a chilly fall night. I forget what month it was. Might have been November or something. That was kind of chilly. I had these heavy blankets, and I spent the night spent the night there. And in the wintertime, in the morning rather, we were awakened, and I forget the name of the exact advertising executive, but his lips were like blue. It was chilly enough that night. We were led into the station, and he and I had to wait because they had to fetch Jean-Luc and Olivier back from the other precinct and bring them back to where we all were. And while waiting for them to come back, the police chief had come in there, and these guys, it turned out, they were afraid to wake up their boss, at like 11 o'clock at night or something. Because he said, well, if they just called me last night, I would have told them just send you home. This is not worth making a big fuss over. But because they weren't there, they took the statements, kept us overnight jail, and he told, he told me and the advertising guy, there's a really nice cafe like a block down. Why don't you guys go down there and get a coffee and a croissant or something like that? So we went down there, had a coffee and a croissant, and came back. And then all the 4 of us were sitting. And I forgot to mention, it was like, it was way after midnight the night before, when these guys had to sheepishly call their wives and say, sorry, dear, I won't be home tonight, and explain why. And then in the morning, we all drove back to the the farmhouse that they were, where they'd done the work, which was the most livable, the one we were staying in for the weekend. And they had to, each of these professionals had to call into their jobs, and the executive had to cancel the meetings he had for the day. Architect had informed his boss he wouldn't be in for work that day. The economics professor had to cancel a class or two. And then, it was all very discouraging kind of experience and stuff. But then they got out the leftovers from the night before and got out some bottles of wine, and we had like another repeat feast from the night before. And then everybody got loosened up and just was able to
Laugh about it.
laugh
I'm sure.
about the experience. It was just funny.
But you didn't get the rocks.
I thought for sure you'd stop and pick up the rocks as you're way out of town.
Right. Or they would charge you and would, you know.
No,
it
it
would be
was
so
lit. I mean, I think all that stuff was, you know, theoretically possible they could charge or something like that, but nothing ever came of it.
Wow.
Unless there's a, you know, maybe Interpol has got me on a watch list now.
Well, you could have a record. That's
Yeah,
true.
Homeland
That's